All right, new project. And guess what it is? Truck full of lumber. All right, so this is going to end up being a new deer stand for my father. I'm basing the design off of one I previously built. It's going to be 5 foot by 5 foot with kind of a lean-to style roof. The front side was close to 6 foot, and the back side I think was 5.5 foot tall. 3 windows, 3 36-inch by 12 windows around front and the sides, and a little 12 by 12 in the back. But in 2023, I just wanted to kind of give a price of the lumber, so you can see for yourself of what one of these things cost, or if this video is made in the future, you can compare to what lumber was in 2023. So the 2x4s, the 8 foot long 2x4s, they were $3.45 a piece. The 1x4 pine pieces that's going to be trim boards around the door, those are $3.38 a piece. The plywood sheeting, it's a 1932 plywood, it was $28.09 a piece. The 1-inch foam, 4x8 sheet of that was $19.98. And then the only other thing is some 4-inch screws and some liquid nails. So I'm going to build this one a little different in the aspect of I'm going to be able to take the roof and the walls apart to haul it up there, because whenever I built mine it was all one piece, and it took a lot more fuel than it should have to haul that big sail where we was going with it. So anyways, we will see. Oh, there's a 2x8 also, a 2x8 by 12 up here. That's what I made the shooting rail out of on the previous one. That 2x8 by 12 was $15.74. So this is probably going to be a multi-part build. I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take, how many parts, but I'll get all this unloaded and then I'll get started on the floor here pretty soon, and then do the walls and the roof. I'm going to do 10 on the roof instead of shingles like I did on mine. Then again, it'll be plywood on the sides as well. It'll all get painted, but the design of the one I have that I'm currently using is very comfortable whenever it's in the teens or single digit weather. That insulation, little Mr. Buddy heater, about 15 minutes you can be in a t-shirt with it being in the teens outside. So makes it pretty comfortable hunting whenever it's cold. But we will get started on this and see how this one turns out. All right, thanks. All right, the lumber's unloaded and the day has come to get started on this thing. So I'm going to take a couple sheets of this plywood. I'm going to get it over here on the sawhorse, and I'll draw out kind of what I'm going to do for the floor. Since it is going to be a 5x5, plywood's 4x8, so I'm going to have to take 2 sheets and cut them at 5 foot long, and then I'll turn one of them 90 degrees and attach them together, and then I'll end up cutting 1 foot by 5 foot piece out of another sheet to fill in the spots. So let's get a couple of these sheets loaded up and get on that. All right, so let me draw out kind of what I was talking about. I'm going to cut 2 sheets of plywood. They're going to be 4 foot wide by 5 foot long. So one sheet's going to be laying that way, the other sheet will end up coming past, and this will be 5 foot and this will be 4 foot. So I'll end up having a void here, a 1x1 void. So I'll end up cutting a 1 foot by 5 foot piece. This will be 5 for here to take out. So it'll be a double layer. Same with here. Be 1 foot by 5 foot. Alright. Disclaimer, I'm not a carpenter, but it is just lumber, so most people should be able to get it figured out how they want to build one. I have both sheets on the sawhorses and they're both secured with a screw so it doesn't move. I'm going to cut both of them at the same time. So I'll measure down here at 5 foot, make a mark, and we will get that cut off. Alright. The two big pieces are cut. I got a new sheet on the sawhorses. Need to cut out 2 pieces, 1 foot wide, 5 foot long. So let's do that. So all the pieces are cut for the floor. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this top sheet and add some liquid nails to it, then put it back on there and get everything squared up, and then I'll add the other pieces. And the floor, I'll clamp it and let it set up. Probably run some screws down into it to kind of help hold it all, and it'll be set up by tomorrow. So what I'm using is extreme heavy duty liquid nails, that and screws. That should be more than enough to hold this floor together. I haven't had any issues with mine. So here we go. Alright, I've got it all flushed up. I've got a bunch of these quick grips I'm going to use, as well as some screws, just to make sure everything's held together real good. I'll get those put in, and then I'll add the piece over here. I'll go ahead and add that 1 foot piece, let that cure for today. Then tomorrow I'll flip it over and put the last piece to the floor. Okay, so off camera I went ahead and run all the screws in. The screws I got are 1 5/8 and they're just a little too long for this. But I went ahead and ran them all in. I'm going to go ahead and put a few more in around the perimeter, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip it so I can add this other 1 foot by 5 foot piece. And I'll just cut off the whatever part of the screws poking through. I'll just cut it off and we'll leave the screws in there. All right, well, I got the floor flipped. You can see the seam here where we've added the 1 foot piece to the 4x8 sheet, or 4x5 sheet, I guess. So I'll end up putting the last 1 foot by 5 foot piece there, and we'll get it screwed down. The screw heads, I'm going to go ahead and just take a zip disc and cut all them off. This is going to be the bottom of the floor anyways. So I'll go ahead and get this piece screwed down and get all the tops cut off. Got all those little pieces cut off. That wasn't too terrible of a job. Pretty simple. I did go ahead and go back and grind over a few of them. Had little sharp edges on them, even though this will be the bottom. But overall, the floor is done now. So I'll get this flipped over and get started on making the walls. I don't know how many parts this video is going to be just yet, but anyways, if you like what you're seeing, like what I'm doing, go ahead and give it a like, consider subscribing, and we'll see you all on the next one.